So I've been waiting a while to drive this car because it's the Volvo XC90 B5. So it's a mild hybrid diesel, and that makes a difference. Volvo say they were going to get rid of diesel and make it all electric. Wonder what happened to that idea. Well, let's have a look around this Volvo XC90 mild hybrid, see if it's any good. Now I actually think mild hybrid is a little bit of a cheat. And I say it's a cheat because really what they're doing is getting their CO2 emissions down to that all golden 95 grams CO2. But in this case, in the Volvo, it seems to actually work in its own little way. I'm going to go through a little thing that it does when I'm driving later on. The stop-start function is brilliant. It pauses and then it starts again. No vibrations, no shutdown, no... It's hard to explain how it feels. It's a very odd little feeling, but this is a typical Volvo interior, very minimalist in its design. The amount of buttons that you actually see and use aren't that very many. Most of it's contained in this kind of touchscreen here in front of me, which is very good. It works very well. The basic 4 things you want on the screen are in front of you at all times. So you've got sat nav, you've got the radio, your media, your phone, and you have compatible devices for showing Apple CarPlay and all that sort of stuff. And on the bottom then, you've got a bit of a touch screen for doing the temperature controls. I still have a problem with the touchscreen Volvo. I'd rather see some knobs on here. I think knobs are safer because their feedback from them when you touch them works really well. But these do work when you press them, and they do bring up a nice little menu to be able to use. Then you have this very minimalist thing here, just a big volume knob, things for clearing the windscreen. The hazard warning lights are on as well. Then you have a nice cute little gear stick behind that, and it goes back to the start, stop and drive modes and all that stuff back here. Tons of storage up the center, which this is totally closable. Goes down here, and you can close this over here as well to make it all nice and clean. And then underneath here I have my USB ports and a large storage unit, sunglasses or whatnots. Steering wheel is really minimal, like a flappy pad on the back of it. And then my active cruise control settings here and my volume controls are on the right hand side. You can learn there, Volkswagen, we need the right hand side controls here because our elbow here. It's nice to have them here instead of the reaching here for them all the time. Then it's a completely digital dash. This one has a Harman Kardon speaker system in it as well, and it has the most comfortable seats I have ever sat in my life. They're R-design seats. They are Alcantara in the center, and then this kind of leather edge to it. Very electric, very massagey. They're heated steering wheel as well. Lots of little bits and pieces. This has 3 memory functions as well, so you can set it up for you. And it's a perfect little place to hang out. Some really good parts are the engine bit. It is a 2-litre diesel. It's underneath the bonnet of this with a mild hybrid system, and they work combined to give you a nice bit of torque and horsepower for pulling things as well. Very comfortable on the cruise. We'll get into the driving bit after. Right now I'm going to flip into the next row of seats. We can see where this really starts to make a lot of sense. So why do I say it makes sense? Well, that's pretty straightforward. First of all, sitting here, I have tons of room. And I really do mean I have lots of room. There's so much space between me and that seat in front, and I'm comfortable. I'm set up comfortably in that row for this row. Also back here I have a 12-volt socket, and I have a 3-pin plug. I'm not sure why that is, but it is useful. When you think of those plugs that have the USB ports on top, you can plug them in here and use it that way. It's quite clever. This one is set up for UK Ireland because it is our proper 3-pin plug here, not the European one. These seats are incredibly comfortable. I have a good center armrest here, a generous one with a little cup holder in the center, really nice. Nice place to sit and lie down. But where this really starts to make sense is because I have 2 more useful seats back there. This is actually a 7-seat car. And so it starts to make real sense here. Now, it's not a full-time 7-seat. You will get 7 adults into this car, but they are going to be crushed. It's not designed for that sort of thing. It is more designed for you to have these useful row of seats back there. This goes flat, allows flat loading through, but keeps these seats in an upright position. No problem with that at all. Everything is very click and user friendly. Every time you want to drop a seat, it is very straightforward to push these seats out of the way to get into the next row of seats. That's where a lot of car companies could learn a lesson there. Let's have a look at the final row of seats. So to show you the last row, which I'm going to show you now, this row here, you can see how much space is left over for you to fit your normal stuff in. I mean, that's got all my camera equipment. And I slide that seat forward, and then I just climb in. Tons of room. I mean, tons. I could happily sit back here for a full journey. no problem. It's really good, Volvo, really, really good. But that's not its only trick. Because if you want to use this last row as something else, you press the button, drops the headrest, the seat falls flat. One click, ace. So even with that being ace, there's still tons of room in here. I mean, this is massive when these seats are dropped. So if I press that button here and drop the seat down, I now have a giant space to fit everything I want into, and still a full, generous 5-seat car. This is, without doubt, one of my favorite cars this year. I think it's one of the cleverest things. Even got a spare wheel in here. Very clever car. This thing pops up as well to secure things on the way back. It's just so smart and sensible. It may actually be the best Volvo ever made. Come on, let's go for a spin in it, see what it's really like on the road. And I'll go through the details of the mild hybrid. So, it sounds like a diesel. Listen. I like that start button there, actually. It's quite nice. I've grown accustomed to certain things in Volvo. My hands are slightly blue from filming, so I'm actually going to put the heated steering wheel on as well. Isn't that good? Now, the touchscreen controls things, okay. You know, you can open up the whole thing and it brings up this little system here, and you can go into it and change the temperature to what you want. It only changes your side, not the other side, so you got to change the two sides individually. It's not intuitive, Volvo. I mean, I know I get the whole Swedish design thing, I really get it, but I don't like the idea of having to touch a screen. I'd prefer a knob down here. We'll say another thing as well, that the gear shift requires 2 clicks, so you go from neutral to drive to neutral to reverse. So it's not just D-go, it's drive and reverse. This also has 360 camera for the outside, which is quite good. It does actually work. Now we have low winter sun today, again, despite it being 10 o'clock in the morning. This is the point of the year in Ireland where we start to get a little bit more bright days, but the sun is still quite low in the sky, and it causes all kinds of hassles for filming. My God, a Mitsubishi Charisma. Did that still exist? Look at that thing. About as much charisma now as a wet, damp cloth. So, the car to drive sounds like a diesel. You can really hear it when I put my foot down. Really does sound diesely, tractory, noisy. But on the cruise, this car is supremely quiet, and I mean beyond quiet. So that acceleration noise is there, is only really there for the first little bit, and then it becomes a quiet cruiser. So Volvo have really tried hard to make this mild hybrid actually do more than just be a token gesture to get their CO2 emissions down. They've actually seemed to run almost everything in the car from the mild hybrid bit, or from the battery orientated bit, rather than running it all from the diesel engine. So generally speaking, most other mild hybrids I found on the road are just kind of token things. They just kind of tick a little box to say, yeah, we've made a hybrid, we're going to do this. It's only a mild hybrid, but you know, it does save 2% of this and 1% of that, and blah, blah, blah. Most mild hybrids are nonsense. But this one seems to be actually doing a fairly decent job of getting you around the place. Plus, it's doing serious fuel economy and getting about, I suppose, 40 miles to the gallon out of it. But, you know, that's down into the kind of 6s per 100 kilometers. But it's a big vehicle. There's nothing electric that's as big as this until you get up around the Tesla Model X. Now, speaking electric, Volvo will be going that direction and are making current moves to go that direction. And that's fair enough. I see that coming. But this is a good use of what they've got left over in diesel. You know, this does change how they use their diesel engines. They will be getting rid of this eventually. And speaking of which, in Ireland the government intend to stop selling new ICE engine cars from 2030, which is 10 years away from now. We're in 2020, so it's less than 10 years away from now. Would I buy one? Well, I'm not sure what the price it is. I logged on to various websites this morning to try and find a definitive price for the one I'm actually driving, and I couldn't do it. So maybe by the time you watch this video, the prices will be there for you to look at. But at the point of filming, I didn't have a price for it. But yes, I think this might actually be my favourite Volvo I've ever driven. The noise is a little bit annoying, that sort of drone that's there. They don't seem to have done anything to try and cover up the acceleration drone. The cruise drone is beautiful. I've driven a lot of miles in this. I've been down to Athlone. I'm doing a talk in Athlone, so I've been down there to do some filming work with the company we're working with. I've done Dublin runs, Kildare runs. I was down at Clonaslee. We had lots of mileage to do, lots of ground to cover in this yoke, and I loved it. There wasn't a single moment I didn't look forward to driving this car. And that's a big thing. That is a very big thing when you think about it. There's very few cars on the road that you look forward to driving, and this is one of them. Really is such a clean, nice feeling to drive along the road in, and knowing that the mild hybrid's not just there as a token gesture really does crown it off. To round this off, I really do strongly recommend you go along to a Volvo dealership and have a shot at one of these things, because this has changed how I feel entirely about XC90. I think XC90 was always a very big, a large car on the road, and this just doesn't feel that way now. It's like an architect's machine, to drive over the hills, and this doesn't feel that way. This feels like a lovely, calm, pleasant, not massive machine to drive, and yet it's able to carry 7 and still has a boot. Very clever design from Volvo once again. So check it out at your local Volvo dealership. If you want to hit the subscribe button at this point, it'd be brilliant. You can check out the links for supporting this channel down below. But until the next time, I will see you on the far side.